Rule number 2. Once the timer stops, you must stop talking. So you will hear something like this. That means enough. All right. We don't want no personal attacks, no profanity, nothing like that. If I hear it, I'm going to give you a little cut it out. Mic must be off when it is your opponent's turn to talk. And a player can ask for a time check or give up their time during any round. I will be keeping the time on my phone, so I can just say it to you guys, whenever the time is up. All right, speaking of time, 7 minutes for the first round. First round will begin. You will hear
round 1, fight.
All right. 7 minutes for each person. You will get the full 7 minutes unless you give up your time, of course. Round 2, the rebuttal round. You get 5 minutes each. Of course, we're going to set it
round
off with
the 2, fight.
And then round 3, the closing arguments. 3 minutes each.
Final round, fight.
In that final round, we will be able to, of course, make our closing arguments and see some reactions and get, both sides of it. And then we're going to let you decide. That is the key thing. You get to decide who wins this debate. So we'll come back to that. But without further ado, man, Coach, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Pat, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Have we decided who's going to go first? Or do we need to flip a coin?
Yeah.
I just happen to have a handy coin here. So, Coach, heads, tails.
Heads.
Did a bad job of catching that. Let's try it again. All right. Say heads. It's heads.
All right.
Coach.
I'll go first.
Oh, wow. Okay.
All right. Coach is going to set it off. So, Coach is taking the position of the 3-4. So, we're going to ask the question, what should the Giants run? Of course, the Giants, new defense, new players coming in. Coach is saying 3-4. Pat is saying, let's go back to the 4-3, what we used to. Now, both men will get the allotted time to state their argument. And as I mentioned before, you get to decide. Coach is up first. And let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right.
So
Let me get the time on the clock here. And I got to be ready. Somebody else be ready. All right. 7 minutes. All right. 7 minutes is on the clock. Can't see it, but whatever.
All right. Well, NYG, you said just in your intro that the 4-3 was something that we're used to. That's incorrect. The 3-4 was the foundational part of what the New York Football Giants, and I know most are too young to realize that, but that goes back to the early 80s. And Belichick was here to implement that. Now with the 3-4, please bring up the first slide. The 3-4 brings more athleticism onto the field as one defensive lineman from either front comes off the field and is replaced by a linebacker. The player can be a rush or a drop defender, forcing the offense to question if an extra player is coming. So there you have an example of a 3-4. Go to slide number 2. You can play a 1-gap or 2-gap scheme. In the 1-gap, it could be more aggressive and have the linemen and linebackers attacking a respective gap. And, in a 2-gap, you're playing more of a read and attack up front, and they're responsible for both gaps on either side of them. So it's a little bit more, I don't want to say passive, but it's not as aggressive. It gives you a lot more flexibility in terms of how to run the defense. And that's what the Giants have always done. When they did run the 3-4 with LT, with Banks, with Carson, with Pepper Johnson, it's geared towards the linebackers, yes. You also have to have a stout nose guard. And we have Dexter Lawrence. What was that? Sorry.
Oh, continue. I'm sorry. I didn't cut you off.
Go to the next slide. It hides the extra rusher. As a 3-4, it can be effective against both the run and the pass. With 1-gap responsibilities, there are a lot of inherent opportunities for the defense where you can move defenders and hide a linebacker, like you have the Mike linebacker right there coming off of the edge on the blitz. Go to the next slide. It allows more exotic blitzes. With the blitz schemes, you can be a lot more conventional or exotic. You could have overloads, which you see right here. Now imagine if you were doing an overload with our current defense, with the Mike linebacker, whoever they put there, and then you have either Carter or Burns as that edge, and then you have the money backer coming off the edge, and then you have Dexter right at the nose. Now you're rotating coverage also off of that. So it gives you a whole lot more versatility. It also marries with many of the different coverages. Go to the next scheme. You have the option of dropping all 4 linebackers into coverage, and which will clog the middle, the underneath patterns, especially for teams that like to run a lot of slants and a lot of high lows. You dropping your linebackers into coverage takes that away. But you can also run man with it. You can run quarters. You can run 2 deep. You run a lot of different. And that's something that we could do with our current defense. It allows you the opportunity to really do so many different things. If the outside linebackers are extremely athletic, it also allows them to truly be able to come after the quarterback, but at times play games and drop into coverage. And I'm one that loves to play games when I'm playing schemes. Go to the next slide, please. You can adjust the alignments however you want. Your defensive tackles can play defensive ends, that you can line up in a 3-tech, a 4-eye, 4, or a 5. Here, they're lining up in a 5. But it allows you flexibility. You can even go to a tight formation, which basically means you're covering all the offensive linemen with the 2 outside rushers or edge rushers, which would be Carter and Burns. But now you can move the defensive tackles or ends, however you want to categorize them, into a 4-eye or a 3, which forces the guard now have to block them, which also allows Dexter Lawrence to push the pocket up the middle because he's going one-on-one with the center. So it really gives you so much versatility. On the back end, as you see right here, you're running cover 4. And you're even with an exotic scheme where you're bringing the will linebacker on a blitz into the weak side A-gap, shooting the R into both edges into the flat, which now usually offensive linemen identify them. Tackles will probably kick out. What are you doing inside now? What are you doing on the inside? It really causes so much havoc on the offense and on their blocking. So, and you should have one more scheme. Slide. Sorry, please bring that up. You can go all havoc on it. You can go what I call macho. You can bring the heat, and you can force them to get rid of that quickly. Now on the back end, yes, their defensive backs have to be able to play in coverage. But now, if you're forcing the quarterback to get rid of that ball, it allows them, depending on the down and distance, to be able to be in position and come down and take away the play. So this aligns with what we have. Dexter Lawrence, Burns, whoever you want, Alexander, or whoever else you put at the other defensive tackle, the linebackers with McFadden, whoever else. If you draft a Sonny Styles, whatever you want to do, Burns, Carter, gives you so much versatility and flexibility in so many different things across the board. So with that, my time is done, and I'm passing it over to Pat.
All right, 40 seconds left. Coach concedes his time, and that is the end of his round. All right. So, compelling argument for Coach. Now we are going to get to Pat's side of it. Pat, I'm going to put 7 minutes on the clock for you. Let me know when you are ready.
I'm ready.
All right, your 7 minutes begins now.
Round 1, fight.
All right, this is a situation where the student is going against the teacher. Shout out to Coach Edd, man. He's taught me a lot about defenses. So I am going to go 4-3. And the reason why is because we have to stop the run, folks. We have to stop the run immediately because that is the weak point of this defense. And a 4-3 allows you to stop the run because it allows you to control more gaps. There's not a lot of gaps out there that you have to control when you have 4 down linemen. And yes, I understand Dexter Lawrence is best at the nose, but a 4-3 is not just a basic 4-3. You can run a 4-3 over, you can run a 4-3 wide, or you can run a 4-3 under. Now imagine you be able to utilize all the talent that you have at the edge rusher at once, because the guy that we drafted, Abdul Carter, played outside linebacker. He played middle linebacker at Penn State. So I got Abdul Carter on the field, and I got Thibodeau, and I got Brian Burns on the field at the same time, and they're all playing different roles. So let's say we do draft for Sonny Styles. We put him at the Mike linebacker. We got Michael McFadden at the outside linebacker and Abdul Carter outside linebacker. Now we have gap control all over the field, and now you got those monsters roaming the field. And I know the host doesn't like Michael McFadden that much because he shoots the gap and misses the tackle. But now we got Abdul Carter shooting those gaps. Now we got Sonny Styles shooting those gaps with a Michael McFadden behind him, with Kayvon Thibodeau, one of the best run-stopping edge rushers in the game. He proved that last year, with Brian Burns on the field. And you could put Sears Anderson if you want to put right next to Dexter Lawrence. And you could shift Dexter Lawrence right over the center by running a 4-3 under. So now you got to double team Dexter Lawrence, and guess who's shooting the gap now? It's Sonny Styles if you draft him at middle linebacker, or it could be Tremaine Edmonds. I forgot about Tremaine Edmonds. We just signed him. My bad. So you got Tremaine Edmonds, Abdul Carter, and Sonny Styles on the field. You don't even have to worry about Michael McFadden. Shout out to Pat, man. Thank you for bringing that up. So now you got 3 linebackers that you are good with that can fly around the field and stop the run with Dexter Lawrence, Anderson, or Alexander if you want to, with a very good run-stopping edge rusher and Kayvon Thibodeau, with Brian Burns on the field. And we can get after the quarterback at any given moment because you can run a 4-3 under, put Abdul Carter on the strong side and let him rush off the side with Kayvon Thibodeau. So now you got to worry about Abdul Carter coming off the edge with Kayvon Thibodeau, who's a great edge rusher and shows power in the inside. What are you going to do? What if we run a stunt blitz with Tremaine Edmonds and Sonny Styles and let them come through the middle with Dexter Lawrence taking over two people in the middle. Now those two gaps, you have to worry about that. Now you don't know where we're coming from if we run a 4-3 under. And when it comes to pass defense, it allows the safety to get involved as well, because now he could take one of those outside linebacker roles. You could put Tyler Nubin right there. Or let's just say we don't take Sonny Styles. We have Tremaine Edmonds, Michael McFadden, Abdul Carter, but we take Caleb Downs. Now Caleb Downs could come down there and play a linebacker role and cover the slot and cover the tight end and still be able to come up in a run game if you do decide to try to hit us with a 3rd and 4 or 3rd and 5 run play. See, this 4 defense allows us to be more versatile in gap control, which is what this defense has lacked the past 2 to 3 years tremendously. It allows us to do so much more. We can run blitzes now. What you gonna do when Abdul Carter is coming off the edge and Kayvon Thibodeau is holding that edge? So it allows Abdul Carter to be free and allow him to do what he needs to do. Same thing with Tremaine Edmonds. He could get in there and blitz, and they're both good in coverage, which is very good. And we could put our safety in coverage if we needed to. Oh, you want to go a wide 9 from the 4-3 and have Sonny Styles or have Tremaine Edmonds govern the middle of the field and bring in an extra safety? Now we can have Drew Phillips. If you draft a Caleb Downs or maybe Jamon Holland could get his act together, but I like the guy that we brought back, Pinnock. I like Pinnock there, and we can add him into that role. How much time I got left, NYG?
Minute 47.
All right. So with you doing that, man, I don't need too much time, man, because I already know what we could do with the 4-3 defense. We need this 4-3 defense all day long. We need it. We need this 4-3 defense because I don't think we have the personnel to run the 3-4 the way we want to, because we don't have the linebacker help to have 4 linebackers out there at one time. I want Abdul Carter's role to be a linebacker role, and he can rush from the edge in the 4-3 with a Brian. Can you imagine Abdul Carter and Brian Burns rushing from the same side, running a stunt with those guys in a 4-3 under or 4-3 over? We can do so much more in a 4-3 defense with this team because of the way that we built. Yes, we are built off athleticism. We're not built with strong power to get in gaps and take on guards the way a 3-4 needs your linebackers to do. We are a speed type team. That's the way that we are built. So we need to allow those linebackers to shoot gaps and go in there and stop the run. Because if we stop the run, I think we can have a top 5 defense.
30 seconds.
And that's it, man. That's what I had to say about that. 4-3 defense, man. Let's stop the run.
All right. That is the end of that round. So we are going to get into our rebuttal round. Going to put 5 minutes on the clock. Going to go back to Coach. Coach, strong argument in round 1. Now it's time for the rebuttal to what Pat said. Are you ready? Mute it.
Sorry about that. Yes, I'm ready.
You good? All right. All right. Your time starts now.
4-3 does give you the ability to stop the run, which was the Giants' weak point. But the 3-4 does the same thing. It really does. It gives you movement and flexibility, attacking the gaps. See, again, the 3-4 attacks the offensive line, and it forces them to create mistakes. So it allows you to stop the run. You talked about blitzing the run. Well, that's exactly what the 3-4 does, because the offense does not know which defender is coming. So It also attacks the gaps. You talked about more gaps. The 3-4 does that. It takes away all the gaps. You don't have to play 2 gap, which limits your gaps. You can play 1 gap responsibility like the old Pittsburgh Steelers, and it attacks it. Yes, you can do over, you can do the wide, you can do the under, and the 3-4 gives you those same basic principles. It allows you to bring the safety down into the box even more. They can be too high, and guess what? They can come down and be the extra man in the box, or if the ball carrier bounces it, guess what they're doing? They're coming down and making a play right from depth. And usually that running back is not expecting them or not counting on them. And guess what? You make that play. You talked about the linebackers. Well, we do have 4 linebackers. Say what you want, whether it's Tibbs, whether it's Burns, Carter, McFadden, Edmonds. If you draft the Sonny Styles, we do have the linebackers. Talked about speed. 3-4 gives you speed. See, the 3-4 causes havoc and confusion. And that's one of the great things about the 3-4. To block it because you don't know who's coming, who's staying. You may think what their responsibilities are. They could be sliding. You could be going strong side and we're slanting weak side, bringing down the safety with the linebacker scraping and filling. And guess what? You make the play. And you could have 11 defenders attacking the ball carrier. And see, you focused a lot on the run, which the Giants need to do. But like I said, it also gives you versatility in coverage.
2 minutes.
You didn't attack that. And that also allows you so much more. Yes, the Giants have to stop the run. But in the 3-4, when you put them in 3rd and longs, it's time to eat, baby. Because now you can drop back into coverage. You can overload, like I said. See, you can shift into an over and under, and you tend to be aligned right there in your gap. Now, sometimes you can slide. You can. But usually the offense knows where you are, and they can pretty much block you accordingly. But with the 3-4, you can still slide, but they don't know who's sliding and which way you're going. So, gives you the gap control, which you talked about. You talked about a wide 9 with the edges. Well, guess what? You can put your outside linebackers at a wide 9. It still does the same exact thing.
1 minute.
Linebackers shooting the gaps because it's there. So, to me, this team is built for the 3-4. And we have the coach to call it right. Not some penny ante type of coach who wasn't the right coach to be with the New York Football Giants. I'm done. Over to you, Pat.
All right. That was some haymaker stuff there by Mr. Coach Edd Gladney. You're gonna have to put your gloves up and come strong in this round. So, Pat, are you ready?
Yeah.
Let me put your time back on the clock here. All right. So, 5 minutes on the clock, and your time starts now.
All right. So, Coach, very compelling argument there. We do have a new coach in John Harbaugh, and I do think that he can run a 3-4 system with this team if he decides to, which I do believe he will. But the reason why I love the 4-3 more is because we have all our playmakers on the field at all times. And yes, the 3-4 scheme allows you to do a lot of things. It allows you to hide blitzes a little bit more than what the 4-3 does. But I'm telling you that our athleticism at the edge allows us to do anything that we want to. And I do believe that this team should run stunts. And when you're running that 3-4, when it comes to coverage, didn't mention this, who's going to be your high safety when you're doing those blitzes and things with your safeties coming down to try to confuse somebody? Javon Holland? Do you think Pinnock can do it? Do you think Tyler Nubin could do it? Who doesn't know how to take angles to make a good tackle? I don't think they can do that. What about our corners? Do you trust our corners? With that 3-4 defense, allowing them on islands the way they have been, what was the result? See, my 4-3 defense allows your nickel corners to press up and allows safeties to press up without losing a safety in the backfield. So you still have two safeties to patrol the middle of the field and the outside. So we can have double coverage where we need double coverage when it comes to coverage, coach. And stopping the run, how many times have we stopped the run to where these teams get in 3rd and longs? See, with the 4-3 defense, if we're stopping the run, you're going to be in a 3rd and long a lot of the time. And guess what? When I run that 4-3 under or that 4-3 over, and I'm sending two of my best edge rushers coming off the edge on the stunt with another monster on the other side, with another monster in the middle of the field, with somebody like Ricky Sears-Anderson that you will have to double team because he goes in the middle of the field like a beast, or Alexander, who showed last year that his pass rushing ability is pretty good. So this is why I'm running a 4-3 to cover his ineptitude of stopping the run. And now I got a good linebacker, Tremaine Edmonds. And you keep saying draft Sonny Styles. So if I got Sonny Styles, Tremaine Edmonds, and Abdul Carter out there, who Tremaine Edmonds, one of the best pass coverage linebackers in the league the past 5 years, with Abdul Carter that showed that he could get out there with his speed and cover, now I can run zones. And now those two linebackers that you say that can run on the outside and do the wide 9 and go in zones, they can do that too in my defense. Because I can switch the 4-3 into a 5-2 and allow those dudes to cover anything in the flash that you want to. And I still got 2 minutes over the top to help my DBs. And guess what? Tremaine Edmonds in the middle of that field, throw some over the middle of the field and like a post to see if he's not there to cover something if you do a deep dig or something. And then you got those monsters coming in, and you can interchange them if you want to. And I'll allow Dex to go over the center and bull rush that center and allow a stunt on the other side with those two monsters. And we're getting in there, and we're still giving you that same tenacity. The same tenacity plus more, because now I got more help in the back end where we need it. So this is how I'm going to get them into those 3rd and longs, coach. Stopping that run and allowing my athletic freaks of Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, and Tremaine Edmonds and Sonny Styles to where I don't have to bring 5 DBs on the field to cover your 3 receivers. And you're going to have to put somebody in there to stop them from getting in there. Your running back is not going to be out there like that, because if you do that stunt from that side, I'm taking my 4 against your I'm taking my 5 against your 5 all day long. All day long. So we're going to stop that run, and we still going to get after that ass when it comes to the pass game. And still have back help coverage for the people that we have out there in Pinnock, Nubin, and Javon Holland. And the Darius Washington, I like him a lot too.
30 seconds.
So that's the reason why I say run the 4-3. I still got you in coverage, coach. I got you. I'm not going to come up with a game plan when I don't have my coverage up to date. You taught me that. But that's what I got to say in this rebuttal round, man. You can take the rest of my time.
All right, that is time. All right, that was a pretty strong round by both fellas there. But we got one more round, the final round, closing arguments. So we're gonna put 3 minutes this time on the clock. Coach, this is your final round, so let me know when you're ready. All right, coach is ready. So your time starts now.
Final round. Fight.
You know what, Pat? Good one. But thank you for the freebie there. I mean, you even said you could take the 4-3 and put it into a 5-2. The 5-2 is an odd front, which goes into a 3-4, which is exactly what I've been talking about. So, and also you said initially the 4-3, you can bring the nickel in, but the 4-3 is about 3 linebackers. So if you bring the nickel, you're actually changing the concept of the defense. So, but as I said in my initial arguments, what the defense does, it allows you to take away the run as well as playing coverage. It's really that simple. It's very versatile. It brings movement. It allows the current players that we have to shine. You can put all the playmakers out there. You can put Tibbs out there too. You can do all of that. You can use Carter and move him around. You want Carter, you want Tibbs, you want Burns, you want Edmonds out there, you can do that. They can all play linebacker because technically that's what they're playing. The edge today in the 3-4 is really a linebacker, but everyone is so fixated on it's someone going after the quarterback, but their rules and responsibility are also as a linebacker. It is kind of like a tight end, where a tight end is an offensive lineman and a receiver. Well, outside linebackers in the 3-4 are like edge rushers as well as linebackers. And this organization has a history. The two greatest ones, Banks and LT. And it fits everything that we're trying to do. So
1 minute.
I'm done. Go ahead. You can give it to Pat now.
All right. So, Coach, time with 50 seconds left. Coach, coming out with some haymakers. Pat, you're up. Let me know when you're ready, bro. Final round. All right, let's get it.
Final round. Fight.
This is a proud moment going against the teacher who's taught me a little bit about defense, man. I'm glad that you're here. But my compelling argument at the end is in the 3-4, your linebackers have to have the strength to go in there and take on those guards. And see, the 4-3 covers that. You see, I'm not confident in Michael McFadden having to go through a guard and take on that responsibility of that gap. I want Anderson to take on that guard. And I want Sonny Styles or Abdul Carter or Tremaine Edmonds to be able to fly around and get to that edge and be free and not have bodies going against them, because that's been our biggest weakness. When you think of 3-4, you think of Ray Lewis, Bart Scott, Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman, people like that. We don't have those type guys. We have athletic beasts out there that need to fly around and don't need any trash around them or some big broody guard putting their hands on them. That's Dexter Lawrence's job. That's Kayvon Thibodeau's job. That's Brian Burns' job. That's Alexander's job, or whoever's job that we put next to Dexter Lawrence. I want Michael McFadden free, flying around. So when Thibodeau holds that edge, my linebacker can get out there and he has a free tackle on that running back. But it's not going to be Michael McFadden if you draft Sonny Styles. He's either going to be Abdul Carter, Styles, or Tremaine Edmonds. And I have the utmost confidence of those dudes getting to anywhere on the field or shooting any gap that's created by my front four. We got coverage there. And yes, 4-3 is 3 linebackers, but when I bring in a safety like Nubin, who is a mini linebacker, you can still say this a 4-3. We're just going to put him to the outside and run a 4-3 under with that safety and coverage. And I still got 2 safeties behind him if I want to bring in a safety. And Pinnock is the perfect guy to put in that area. I trust Pinnock in that area, and I trust my linebackers to go back in coverage if need so. So we're keeping everything in front of us, and we're stopping the run, getting you in third and longs, and running those stunts and getting after that quarterback's ass in my 4-3 defense.
30 seconds.
But you're absolutely right. The 5-2 that I'm talking about running does come from a 3-4 concept, but we can make that into a 4-3 concept because we can move people around. We can move pieces, and everybody's on the field. Everybody's on the field, and they have roles. That's what this team needs. They need roles, and that's what this 4-3 allows them to do. Play your role. Do your damn job, like Bill Belichick.
All right. So, that was a good one, folks. That was a good one. Two good arguments. You heard Coach's argument for the 3-4. You heard Big Pat's argument for the 4-3. So, who you got in this debate? Type 1 in the chat for Coach. Type 2 in the chat for Pat. So, you get to decide this. If you are watching on the replay or you are in the chat, again, 1 for Coach, 2 for Pat. So, all right, we gonna get to debate number 2. This one is gonna be interesting. This one right here, y'all, is who's the greatest DC in Giants history? There's been 2 significant ones that a lot of us hold in high regard. And so we're here to debate. Who you got? Do you got Steve Spagnuolo? He's got a ring with the Giants. Do you got Bill Belichick? He got a couple. D coordinators for the New York Giants. Who is the greatest DC of all time? And of course, they did run different schemes. So you have to keep that in mind. I'm sure that will come up in this debate. So, Coach, you got Bill Belichick. Am I correct?
Yes.
Pat, you have Steve Spags Spagnuolo. Correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, Coach, you won the coin toss the first time. I guess we got to flip it again, right?
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go first this time. Or
You sure?
Coach wants to go. Well, if Coach
Switch
wants
it
to
like
go
a
first,
we switch it like you do in a game, right?
You don't have to. You can defer and you can still kick off again in the second half.
so if Coach wants to go first, let him go first.
You want to kick off or you want to defer?
No, I already deferred. I mean, I went first, so I won the toss, and I'm saying I'll go first both times.
Okay. All right. Let me put 7 minutes on the clock. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, time starts now. Let's get it.
Round 1. Fight.
I'm gonna start off with Belichick has 2 Super Bowl championships with the New York Football Giants as DC. Now, he was a mastermind in leading the Giants to glory in those glory years. I mean, his defenses were always disciplined. technically sound, well prepared, and hungry for success. I was reading a writing by Michael Eisen titled Belichick's Game Plan, and he pointed out that the 1990 defense was second in the NFL, allowing 262.9 yards a game. They were particularly stingy versus the run out of the 3-4 defense, mind you, giving up just 91.2 yards a game on the ground. They were fourth best in the league during that time. And they overall allowed 211 points in 1990. Also, the defensive players, they were fixated all season in stifling the NFL's best runners. Dallas's Emmitt Smith, who was the NFL career rushing leader, gained only 39 yards on 18 carries in 2 games versus the Giants. That's because of Belichick, as well as the talent. I'm not going to take away from the talent, but you scheme it up. Detroit's Barry Sanders, we know how good he is. Another back enshrined in the Hall of Fame. Rushed for 69 yards on 11 attempts. Buffalo's Thurman Thomas is also in Canton. He's held to 60 yards on 21 carries when they faced Buffalo during the regular season. The players were talented, yes, but Bill put them in the positions to be successful. Think of a player like Jim Burt, who was a stout run-stuffing nose tackle, but his greatest play was the devastating hit he put on Joe Montana, and he wouldn't have been able to do it without Belichick scheming it up for him to bring that pressure right up the gut, right up the middle. In the Super Bowl against the Buffalo Bills, his game plan was to allow Thurman Thomas to run the ball. Yeah, go ahead, let him run. But take away the pass, because they had a good pass, and they had one of the best passing attacks. And that was a key component. The passing attack was key component to their offensive games. He also had his defensive players get physical across the board, but especially with those receivers. If they were coming across the middle, smack them. Take away their heart. And that's really what they did. You saw 3-4 players. So many. Everson Walls, guys who were there, really getting physical and hitting them. And it also frustrated Jim Kelly because he couldn't do what he wanted to do. If I go to that first Super Bowl against the Denver Broncos, in the second half, he made some key adjustments, and the Denver was making timely mistakes from there on out. I mean, that's one of the things that's great about him was his adjustment. He was a master of the adjustments, and it didn't matter if it was at halftime or during the course of the game. It's something that he did throughout his time with DC as the DC of the New York Football Giants. I mean, and you see, I didn't even really highlight some of his great talent because I don't want to take away from what he did, because he also mentally got into their heads to help them play much better. 84 people hated that we drafted Carl Banks. You didn't need him. You had reasons. You had LT. You had Harry Carson. You had Brad Van Pelt. Banks was probably just a step below, just a step below LT, but he was also better in pass coverage. And see, that's the thing about Belichick. He knew. See, I talked about that playing Detroit. I remember playing Thanksgiving against Detroit. and they were down deep in the red zone. And it was a play, and they were expecting LT to come. And what did they do? They dropped them into coverage. Pass at LT picked off and returned for a touchdown. See, that's Belichick. He knew. He studied the film and came up with the game plan. So that's why he's the greatest of all time as a DC for the New York Football Giants. I'm done.
All right. With a minute 3 left. Coach.
Round 1, fight.
Coach giving up the time. And he's making the argument for Bill Belichick. We got to hear the other side of it. We're going to go to Big Pat here. I'm going to put 7 minutes on the clock for you, Pat. You let me know when you're ready to make your argument for Steve Spagnuolo. All right. Your time starts now.
Round 1, fight.
All right. Good compelling argument right there by Coach, man, for Mr. Bill Belichick, one of the greatest coaches of all time, not just defensive coordinator, which is dope. And my argument is for probably the greatest defensive coordinator of all time, and that's Steve Spagnuolo. See, Steve Spagnuolo is kind of like me, man. He ran that 4-3. You see what I'm saying? He ran that 4-3 when we went out there on the field. And Coach mentioned some players that, that team had, but you got to give it to him because the team that Coach mentioned, he didn't have those dudes out there on the field. And guess what? They were pretty doggone good too. When they went out there and did their thing. See, Spagnuolo had the number 1 overall ranked defense in 2007, the number 1 scoring defense in 2007, and the number 1 rushing defense. Can I say it again? The number 1 run ranked defense and ranked total, the number 2 in total defense in 2008 when he was there. He's a one-time champion as a defensive coordinator with the New York Giants, and he won another championship with the Chiefs. This is what this graphic is based off of. But he did it by stopping the run and getting after the quarterback. That's exactly what this team needs right now. We need a Steve Spagnuolo right now. Because to mention to have all that going for you, and you know what he did to win his ring? Because you mentioned how Belichick won his ring by his defense that he called. Remember, Steve Spagnuolo beat an undefeated Patriots team. Held them boys to 14 points when they were putting up 30 and 40 on everybody all year long that year. And can you mention all the players that he did with besides O.C. Tuck and Strahan? A lot of people fan favorite Antonio Pierce. He's not a Hall of Famer. OC's not a Hall of Famer that's in there. Justin Tuck, who I think should be a Hall of Famer, he's not in there. Those defenses back with Bill Belichick had, he had Harry Carson, Hall of Famer, Leonard Marshall, all those other guys that you mentioned. LT, the greatest defensive player of all time. Might be some people say the best player of all time besides Jerry Rice. So, of course, he's going to do a little bit with those guys. Am I saying it was just a talent and not Bill Belichick? Hell no. Bill Belichick put those people in place to make plays. But look what Spagnuolo was working with. Yeah, Michael Strahan is dope, but he ain't no LT. Antonio Pierce was dope, but he ain't no Harry Carson. And he stopped a Tom. Listen, man. He stopped a Tom Brady-led offense that was 18-0. Nobody could stop them dudes that year. But he did it. You know, he held the Patriots to 7 points for 3.5, for 3 3/3 of a quarter. Randy Moss got that touchdown at the end of the game. But they only scored 14 points. Tom Brady and them laughed and said, man, hey, we only going to score 20 points or 17 points. No, you didn't score 17 points. You scored 14. We scored 17. That's why I say this dude is the best Giants defensive coordinator. No shot at Bill Belichick's legacy. It's cemented. But not only did this dude innovate things for this Giants defense with players that most people wouldn't even be able to tell you if you weren't a Giants fan, he invented what we call the NASCAR package. When he had people like Linville Joseph and Fred Robbins getting busy out there, who know those dudes are nowhere near on a caliber of player than Leonard Marshall and those boys that was out there back in the 80s and early 90s. But he made those dudes a conglomerate to where they stopped the run, got you in third and long. OC, Tuck, and Strahan did their thing after that. And he did it with linebackers that you ain't never heard of, Chase Blackburn and people like that. Antonio Pierce is great, but he's nowhere near a great linebacker of all time like the Giants had across the board back then in the 80s. And then his defensive ranks were higher than what Bill Belichick's was back then. And guess what? The offenses were way more pushed towards passing the ball during Spagnuolo's time than what Bill Belichick and them were doing back then. You weren't passing the ball like that. You had to get the run game going in order to get your offense going back in the 80s. You did. It's just a fact. So this man went out there with teams like the Patriots who were throwing the ball all over the field, had great tight end play with, guess who was the coach? Bill Belichick. So he actually beat Bill Belichick in a head-to-head of mine. So Steve Spagnuolo, that's my guy for the greatest Giants defensive coordinator because he's a defensive coordinator to a T. And he took a team that nobody thought should be anywhere near a Super Bowl, and that defense stepped up with Corey Webster, R.W. McCorders.
1 minute.
At the cornerback position. So I think he accomplished some of the similar things with way less around him as far as talent. I'm just going to keep it a buck. But that's my case for Steve Spagnuolo, man. He beat that man head to head, and Belichick's team was 18-0, and that man say, look, I'm going to stop your high-powered offense, and we finna get out of here
30
with this
seconds.
game. And that's what he did. Number 1 overall, number 1 scoring defense, number 1 rushing defense, number 2 overall defense. There's a lot of ones on that board. I'm just saying. And I'm done.
All right. 10 seconds to go. Man, that was that was definitely a heavyweight style round, man. Both fellas making very compelling arguments. We're talking who is the greatest D coordinator for the New York Giants. Is it Bill Belichick? Is it Steve Spagnuolo? Coach making the case for Belichick, Pat making this case for Spagnuolo. Going into round 2 now, the rebuttal round. Coach, you are up. Are you ready? All right, let's get it.
Round 2, fight.
Great arguments, Pat. I appreciate that. Yeah, Michael Strahan. And I'm sorry, you could say he's not LT, but he, as a defensive lineman, and he's the best. So you can't take that away from him. I mean, he had the sack record for the longest while. So that's something that you have to appreciate. OC was a dog. You can say what you want, but he's better than Leonard Marshall. Much better than Leonard Marshall. And Justin Tuck, yeah. That's a dog. True dog. See, my point being is Spags had players too. He really did. You can talk about Carson, you can talk about Banks, you can talk about LT, but everyone else, I mean, they're all about the same. And the head-to-head, sorry, it's not head-to-head because Spags only had one side of the ball. If we want to go head-to-head as a head coach, let's not go there. Let's not open that door. Love Spags, but no disrespect. He's no Belichick as a head coach. This is about the defensive coordinator. So they did not go head-to-head. If anything, he went head-to-head with the OC, not the DC. The head-to-head with the head coaches would be Belichick and Coughlin. But we're going to leave that there. But think about this. During Belichick's time in the NFC East, Dallas Cowboys, Philadelphia Eagles, Washington Redskins. Those teams were dogs. There was even a point in time, the Arizona Cardinals, yes, the Cardinals were in the NFC East at that time. There was a small time where they were even a tough team. And Belichick always had to prepare because, as you always say, Pat, it's about your division. Oh, and their toughest rival wasn't even in the NFC East. The San Francisco 49ers, with all of them. And see, you talked about pass. They had probably the most prolific passing offense. They changed the way the game is played in the passing game. Jerry Rice, John Taylor, Clark. I'm not even talking about Wendell Tyler as a running back that he did before Roger Craig got there. I mean, you could back during that time, Belichick had a lot of teams that he had to consistently, both in the AFC and the NFC, prepare for. And he always had that defense prepped and ready. And see, as the DC, he was the key contributor on the defensive side, calling the plays when it mattered most. 2 Super Bowl wins. Not 1, but 2. 2. That's something you can't just arbitrarily wipe away, because that matters. So I'm gonna leave it right there and turn it over to you, Pat.
All right. 1:05 left. And Coach says that is a win for him. Feeling pretty confident there. So a lot of time left on the clock. But we're going to kick it back over to you, Pat. This is your rebuttal round. I got 5 minutes back on the clock for you, bro. Let me know when you're ready. All right. Time starts now.
Round 2, fight.
Okay, so Coach, he wanted to mention the hard road that the Giants went through. 49ers was their biggest rival back in the day, and I can agree with that. They're the ones that took the 49ers down because Joe Montana and them were doing their thing. And the NFC East was the NFC Beast back then. But don't get it twisted. The NFC East was pretty good too when Spagnuolo won his championship. Do you forget Tony Romo and T.O. and them boys over there in Dallas? Do you forget Donovan McNabb and them boys over there with the Eagles? Remember, back-to-back NFC championship games. You know, they were some monsters over there too. And the road for the Giants to get through to the Super Bowl that year, remember, they went and they beat Tampa Bay in Tampa Bay with Jeff Garcia and them. They were balling. Great defense. They were balling. They went to Dallas and beat Dallas in Dallas when they had Romo, Austin, T.O., good offensive line, 3 good running backs, good defense, heavily favored. Wind up beating them boys. How about them Cowboys? in the second round, and then went and beat a Brett Favre-led Packers team at Lambeau Field. Y'all remember that game? The road was crazy. And then to even win the Super Bowl, they had to go through an 18-0 Patriots team that was averaging over 34 points a game, and he held them to 14. And you want to talk about a team that was led by the man that you're backing right now. They were led by him. They were disciplined. They were killers that year. This is a team that will put up 50 points on you just to make a statement. And they laughed when the Giants made it to the Super Bowl. Everybody did. Spagnuolo led a defense that nobody cared about to the Super Bowl that year. Bill Belichick's defense, you knew what time it was. And don't get it twisted, Leonard Marshall was a beast. There's a lot of people in your age group, Coach, no offense, that would take Leonard Marshall over Osi Manure. They would. I'm definitely taking Harry Carson over Antonio Pierce. And everybody in this room know you taking LT over Michael Strahan all day, every day, 5 times on Sunday. As great as Strahan was, he was no LT.
2 minutes.
So you want to say road less travel? I think the Giants, when doing Steve Spagnuolo's championship run, was way harder. I think it was harder. And let's not forget, if it wasn't for a wide left by a field goal kicker from the Bills, Belichick wouldn't have one of those rings. It was wide left. They got down there in field goal position to kick the game-winning field goal on that Bill Belichick-led defense. The kicker just missed. Thank God he did. So I'm saying he's one of the greatest defensive coordinators because he did it with less. Let's just keep it a buck. There was Hall of Famers all on that Giants team, man. And that doesn't take away the job that Bill Belichick did. But you got to look, man. Number 1 ranked defense that year after they started the way that they started. Battle tested. And I don't care what team you bring up, none of those teams were 18-0. And he shut them down to bring it home for the New York Giants. I don't think you could get better than that as far as a defensive coordinator. When it comes to stopping somebody, he stopped a juggernaut.
30 seconds.
The Bills were good, but they were not the Patriots. They just weren't. They weren't even Brett Favre and the Packers that year. And he beat both of them. So that's my argument, and that's my rebuttal to that, man. But you got it.
All right. 7 seconds left, and that is a round, folks. All right. So, man, this is a good one. This is a good one. I'm sitting here scratching my head like they're both making pretty good arguments. But we got one more round to go. Coach. 3 minutes left on the clock. 3 minutes on the clock. This is your final argument to say why Bill Belichick is the greatest DC of all time. Are you ready?
Yes, let's go.
All right, and let's get it.
Final round. Fight.
My opponent gave some some great points. Gotta respect that. Okay. And I'm going to say this. Bill Belichick, you talked about shutting down the Patriots, and the Patriots were good, 18-0. I got to respect that. But here's the thing. During their time, one of the most dominating offense that teams were going up against during that era was the Washington Redskins. And their most prolific play was the counter tray. And guess who was the first to completely shut it down? The New York Football Giants. New York Football Giants. They did it. And teams emulated that. Now, I didn't want to do this to Spags, but Spags had 2 stints. And what takes away from him was his second stint. It wasn't even that good. Yes, he had to step in as the head coach because the head coach got fired. But there was a lot going on, and that takes away from everything that he did. Takes some of what he did. It doesn't take it away completely. So let me make sure I say that because I started to word it incorrectly. But it does take some of the shine off of that. It does. Where Belichick was consistent through his whole 6 years with the Giants. He was consistent. And they were dominating every year. Time after time. You line it up, Detroit smacked them around. Cowboys smacked them around. Eagles smacked them around. Redskins smacked them around. Battled the 49ers in the playoffs, smacked them around. Oh, the Minnesota Vikings were starting to come up during that era. Dominated them.
30 seconds.
I'm going to just close with that. Belichick is the greatest New York Football Giants DC. I'm not talking about his Patriots time and what happened there, just with the Giants. I'm done.
All right. That is around 15 seconds left. All right. Pat, are you ready? All right. Your time starts now.
Final round. Fight.
Coach took a shot at Steve Spagnuolo with his second stint with the Giants. He had to take in, I believe he became an intern coach at that time. And can you even name that team that he had at that time, in 2017? Like, there's nothing any coach could have done with the team. And that was terrible. Any coach in that situation would have got beat up. But if we're talking about they prime stints, Spagnuolo wins, bro. He had better defensive ranks with less talent. And he beat better teams, man. I know the Redskins were good. I know Dallas was good. I know Philly was good at that time. But Dallas was good during this time. And the Patriots, they trump all those teams, bro. I'm sorry. 18-0 wins that, bro. That Patriots team, you look crazy. But remember, they had a receiver out there too named Randy Moss who broke records that year. I think he had 22 touchdowns as a receiver that year. Tom Brady, I think, threw for 48 or 49 touchdowns that year. Look how many times they put up over 40 points on teams that year. And they went there and shut them down. Shut them down. And yes, Randy Moss is better than everything that you named except for Jerry Rice. That's it. But Randy Moss is better than anything that they put out there. And Tom Brady, everybody says he's the GOAT. Even better than Joe Montana. And then on top, the cherry on top, the man that you clowning for was the coach. Yes, he wasn't a defensive coordinator on time, but he's known for defense, and he had that team ready. And Spagnuolo said, you know what?
1 minute.
I'm going to take Michael Strahan, very good. I'm going to take Antonio Pierce, who, compared to all the people that you named, OCM and York, I'm taking Leonard Marshall all day. Justin Tuck, yeah, cool. But if you ask any Giants fan, they're taking those 80s and 90s teams over this Giants 2017 every time. As far as talent.
30 seconds.
So Spagnuolo with better defensive stats in his stint when he won his Super Bowl with a way lesser caliber team and beat better caliber teams that the Giants beat during their Super Bowl run back then. That's why I'm taking Steve Spagnuolo. That's point blank, period. Love Bill Belichick, but when it comes to DC, I gotta take Spags, man. Spags did his thing that year.
That is time. Man, that was a good spar there. A lot of jabs, a lot of punches being thrown there. But it is up to you guys. You guys, who do you got in this debate? This one was for either you taking Coach and Bill Belichick, or you taking Pat and Steve Spagnuolo. And they both made very compelling arguments, man. I can't wait to go back and watch this one on the replay, because those arguments were fire. Both guys came out swinging. And like I said, 1 in the chat for Coach, 2 in the chat for Pat. So 1 if you rocking with Coach and you think Bill Belichick is the greatest. New York Giants now classify that New York Giants defensive coordinator. We can't count what he did with the Patriots. Can't count what Spagnuolo did with the Chiefs. So we just talking about the Giants. Y'all see the thing up there, Giants Battlegrounds. So who is the greatest New York Giants defensive coordinator? 1 for Coach and Bill Belichick, and 2 for Pat and Steve Spagnuolo. Now, focus on the debate as well. This is a debate show. Who made the best argument? You know, that's why I like to go back and watch these things on replay. Hopefully you will too. But final words, fellas, man, before we get out of here, man. Y'all had 2 pretty good debates, 2 pretty good rounds, 2 pretty good battles. You know, I can't call it. I'm going to leave it up to the chat, man. But last words, man. Pat, you got it. And then Coach.
Appreciate my opponent, the great Coach Edd Gladney, man. Love doing this battle, 4-3 versus 3-4. Spags versus Billy Belichick. You guys go back and watch this. Like he said, put a 1 in there for Coach and a 2 in there for me if you feel that I was able to defeat Coach in this Giants Battlegrounds, man. But I can't wait to do the next one, man. We need this in the Giants community. We need this in sports community, period. So this is the Battlegrounds, man. You better come with it. Coach came with it. I knew he was going to come with the diagrams. I knew he was going to come with his thesis. And Coach, man, you were a hell of an opponent during this Battlegrounds, man. So I appreciate, the sparring match. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I got.
All right, Coach. Final words.
I appreciate you as always. It was an honor. All I'm just going to say is, as you said, focus on the debate and the fact this is about the New York Football Giants. This isn't about anything that Spags did outside of the Giants or what Belichick did outside of the Giants. This is about their time as coordinators with the New York Football Giants. All right, we get so caught up, myself included, in all of the ancillary stuff that goes on outside of here, where, as NYG said, this is about the New York Football Giants and their time here with the New York Football Giants. I can't stress that enough. Because, we want to take the totality of everything. We do. Myself included. I'm guilty of it. But we got to compartmentalize and say, okay, this is about the Giants, and that's what the focus is. and who, Pat or myself, made a compelling argument for the defense, the 3-4 versus the 4-3, and for Belichick or Spags. And you take it from there. All right, that's it.
Yeah, man. But that's all we got for tonight. Appreciate everybody in the chat. AK Eagle, salute, man. Appreciate you tapping in. Daniel Berry Sports, as always, man. Happy Saturday to you too. And Man Cave already's made up his mind. He's rolling with Spags, but we got to get everybody else's votes in. So we'll come back with an official winner next week. But that being said, I'm Unpopular Opinion Sports with Big Pat Sports Talk and Coach Ed Gladney. And until next time, man, we're going to get up out of here, man. Y'all know what it is. Peace.
Debate will never be the same. This is New York Giants Battlegrounds.